Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and today I want to see if the bird cherry flowers are edible. Well, it's April in Heidelberg, Germany. Not many fruit around, but a lot of flowers. Well, bird cherry, the name is a little bit misleading, because in Germany actually they call this plant here Vogelkirsche or bird cherry. And the German name is actually more justified, because the Latin name of the normal cherry, with the normal sweet cherry that we all know and eat, is Prunus avium, which literally translates as bird cherry. But in English, Prunus padus is named bird cherry, so that's a little bit misleading. So I'm glad I found both plants here in this little unsavory corner to compare them for you. Well, Prunus, well, the cherries, they are, the genus Prunus is quite large. It's the only genus in the subfamily Amygdalida. That's basically the rosaceae plants which have one hard seed, one hard pit inside, as opposed to stuff like strawberries or apples, which have several seeds. And yet they were separated into a lot of different genera. For example, the bird cherry Prunus padus was in the subgenus Padus. For those Prunus species which have a branched inflorescence, while here those other ones, they basically have single flowers coming out, or basically you can say that the stem of the inflorescence is so short that it's hardly visible. Yeah, so a lot of genera have been described in the Prunus group, but nowadays it's because of molecular biological data, they are all considered to be not so well founded. So yeah, Prunus cherries. This is the bird cherry for the English-speaking people. And this is the bird cherry for the German-speaking people. This is like a wild edible cherry. Yeah, those were all not planted, all those cherries and also those walnuts here are feral, growing here along this hedge, because I think nobody has cut the grass for many years. Well, so much about the systematics, but what about the edibility? Well, first, a lot of Prunus contain amygdalin and other substances which can form cyanic acid when eaten. Yeah, cyanic acid, this stuff. Yeah, Agatha Christie wrote about it. It's a popular poison in a lot of criminal fiction, and not only fiction. It is also a popular poison, and so be always careful when you eat Prunus parts. Basically, the rule of thumb is, if the fruit are too bitter, don't eat them, and if the seeds are too bitter, don't eat them. About the fruit, that's quite important with some other, like Prunus laurocerasus, which I don't see around here, or Prunus lusitanica, where sometimes the fruit are very bitter and sometimes the fruit are not so bitter. There is a Prunus laurocerasus hedge over there. So yeah, for example, for this species it's quite important not to eat bitter fruit, and for all the Prunus species it's important not to eat bitter seeds. Bitter seeds are used in small amounts as spice, like bitter almonds are used in a small amount as spice in cakes and liquors and stuff. But if a part of a Prunus is too bitter, just don't eat it. Well, about the bird cherry, a lot of parts can be used. Actually, the bark can be harvested right now during flowering and used as a medicine, but quite a hardcore medicine. Different parts can be used as dye. The young leaves, it seems, can be harvested and cooked as a sort of spinach substitute. Well, let's try some. Bitter. And with the smell and taste like a stink bug. Like a bitter stink bug. Yeah. The leaves are like a bitter stink bug. Well, it says you have to boil them first. I hope the flowers taste better. I did not find anything on the edibility of the bird cherry flowers, but here those cherry flowers are definitely edible, so I'm gonna try this. So it's a little bit, be a little bit careful, folks. The leaves to me don't really taste edible. They taste disgusting and toxic. It especially tastes bitter. I now have the bitter almond taste in my mouth. Now let's see what the flowers taste like. Still quite bitter. More bitter than those, I think. Let's try them. Oh yeah, the Prunus avium flowers taste a lot better, but Prunus padus flowers, well, they don't taste really bad. They have a flavor similar to the smell, like, yeah, a flavor of fly flowers, flowers which are pollinated by flies, and flies usually like bad smelling things. Taste. It's bitter. I would be careful, not too bitter. I wouldn't eat huge amounts. Like of those here, you could eat a couple handful if you don't feel sorry about the potential loss of future cherry fruit. But they taste quite safe. But of those here, maybe I'll put an inflorescence or two on top of some dessert or some salad to make it prettier. And yeah, you can use the kind of mild bitter almond taste, but don't overdo it. Remember, the bitter almond, that's the taste of cyanide in your mouth. Cyanide is highly toxic, so yeah, be very careful. Use those flowers in moderation. They are not too bitter, but bitter enough to be careful about them. The aftertaste is a little bit mouth-watering and not in a good sense. But yeah, I think in moderation, especially if the food you use them with is not completely tasteless, but is sweet or salty or soury, yeah, you can use a couple as a flavor and as a decoration. So folks, this was the bird cherry Prunus padus. Not to be confused with the other bird cherry, Prunus avium. Now I checked out the flowers. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos, and until the fruit get ripe, more flower videos from the beautiful city of Heidelberg, with its sometimes less than beautiful construction sites. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.